Ohio State and Georgia have met one time in their football history. Buckeye fans, do you remember it? 1993 Citrus Bowl. Kirk Herbstreit at quarterback runs into Jeff Cothran on a 3rd and 11, 8 minutes left to play. Buckeyes and Bulldogs tied at 14. Buckeyes go on to lose 21-14 to a Georgia football team led by Garrison Hurst at running back, Eric Zier, Andre Hastings, star-studded Georgia football team led by Ray Goff on the sidelines against John Cooper. Okay, this one's going to have just a little bit more on the line. The college football playoff at the Peach Bowl in Atlanta. Home game for Georgia. Let's size it up right here at the Voice of College Football. Please like the video. Share these videos out on social media. Consider this. You enjoy the content, others will as well, and not everyone knows that we're here talking Ohio State football with you on a regular basis. Let's size it up. Here we go. Georgia most likely is the best defense in the country. I don't care what the stats say. If you look at most of the metrics, they're in the top 10 to 15 in all of college football. They had 16 players taken in the NFL draft, 9 on defense, 5 taken in the first round. That's an all-time record. Just consider that. They recruit better than just about anyone. They're loaded up with 5 stars all over the field, 4 stars all over the field. Yes, they've got the best defense in college football. Again, the metrics say top 10 to 15 in the nation, but number 1 in points per game against at 11.3. They are the number 1 rushing defense in all of college football, giving up 77 yards per game, and that's in taking on an SEC schedule, plus Oregon in non-conference play. And that number 1 rushing defense number, very comparable to Michigan, which Chip Tranum ran 14 times against for 83 yards. The pass defense for Georgia, 51st in the country if you look at the total yardage, which we don't, because they usually lead these ball games by 2 and 3 and 4 touchdowns and give up passing yardage, garbage passing yardage in the fourth quarter. Georgia, 11th in pass efficiency. They've only given up 11 touchdown passes against 10 interceptions. Jalen Carter could possibly be the number 1 player selected in the 2023 NFL Draft. He has had an up-and-down season based on injuries. He's not been in the lineup consistently, but he should be healthy and back for the Buckeyes on December 31st. Check out the play that Carter had against Jaden Daniels and LSU in the SEC championship game. It is the highlight play of the game. It's a play in which Carter lifted up Jaden Daniels with one arm. He tackled him with one arm, and then with the right arm, he stuck up the number 1 sign. So he had that much swag and that much strength and that much power and that much awareness all at the same time to do all that. The athleticism for the Bulldogs on both sides of the ball, especially defense, is elite. If you look at the stat sheet, nobody's going to pop out at you in regards to stats. Like there's no guy with 15 sacks or 21 tackles for loss or 100 tackles or 7 interceptions, because they play so many different players. They've got waves of players. Nobody's got more than 3 or 3.5 sacks. They've got a rotation in which they keep everyone fresh, everyone plays, everyone gets into the game. Former number 1 5-star, top player in the country coming out of high school, Nolan Smith mans the defensive linebacker unit along with Jamon Dumas-Johnson, who's a Butkus semifinalist. Also inside linebacker Small Munden, who has 58 total tackles, and he had an interception in the SEC championship game as well. So C.J. Stroud and company, work cut out for you. Although, if you're going to make hay against the Georgia defense, it's going to come with pass protection like we saw Ohio State enjoy against Michigan. Let those receivers loose. Let C.J. Stroud carve up the defense, because the Georgia secondary, relatively speaking, it's loaded with talent. It's great. But relatively speaking, that's the sore spot. That's the vulnerable spot for Georgia, as we saw similar to last season's performance in the SEC championship game against Alabama. Georgia gave up 30 points in the SEC championship game, but don't let the final score fool you. They were up 35-10 at half. LSU gained a ton of yards in the second half that were complete garbage. 549 yards total, 502 through the air. Still, Kirby Smart has a standard. So does this Georgia program. He said, quote, after the game, "That's not our culture here. We won't tolerate this. We won't accept it." Let's look at the Georgia offense. Outshined by the Georgia defense, which of course led the surge to the national championship as the best defense we've seen in college football for at least the past decade, going back to those Bama and LSU defenses of 2009, 2011, in that range. Stetson Bennett, he's a leader, he's a gamer, he's a baller, he can run, he can move outside the pocket, he's got a lot of swag, and he also just knows what he's doing. He is just a leader. And when he made that play in the national championship with 4 to 5 minutes left, that seemingly cost Georgia the championship, where he was blindsided, the ball shot out of bounds. You could have called it a pass, you could have called it a fumble. It was called a fumble, and it looked like, down 18 to 15, Georgia's going to lose this ball game. However, Stetson Bennett came right back. They put it on his shoulders. He threw rockets down the field and led the game go-ahead touchdown. And then, of course, the pick six sealed it for Georgia, and the monkey was off the back for Stetson Bennett. And now you see just the full array of confidence and swag on top of the ability and, of course, the complementary pieces on offense. Stetson Bennett, 20 touchdowns, 6 picks, 16th in the nation in pass efficiency. Ohio State, on the other hand, is number 2 with C.J. Stroud slinging it downfield. Georgia has 3 backs that are versatile, they're tough, they're talented. Kenny McIntosh, 37 receptions in addition to running out of the backfield, 11 total touchdowns. Daijun Edwards has a bigger role than was anticipated to start the season. Kendall Milton, 7.3 yards per carry. The receiving core doesn't gain a whole lot of accolades because, of course, they don't throw it first. Therefore, the numbers don't show it. Ladd McConkey's got the most receptions with 51. Rosemary Saint, and they use a number of guys, Kyrus Burton as well, in the passing game, but it's the tight ends that really distinguish this passing offense. Brock Bowers is the best in the business. Utah's got their tight ends. Of course, you got Sam Laporta with Iowa. You've got a whole lot of other great tight ends across college football, including at Michigan. But this is the guy that's the best in the business, and we saw him on display in the postseason for Georgia last year and scoring 17 touchdowns. He's only got 6 this year, but he's the same player. Darnell Washington, if you ever seen him line up against Brock Bowers, who was a mountain of a man, big dude, Darnell Washington makes him look like nothing. Makes him look like a little kid, a 7th grader. That's how huge he is. The NFL offensive line for Georgia is what it typically is under Kirby Smart. 3rd in the NCAA in sacks allowed with only 7. This was a unit that thought that they should win the Joe Moore Award, and of course they lashed out on Michigan last year and proved to be the best offensive line in college football. Not Michigan. That was last year. Michigan's improved at the offensive line position this year, even though they were seemingly the best based on the award last year, but Georgia wants to win it this year. They are a finalist with the likes of Cedric Von Pren up front, Broderick Jones, and Warren McClendon. They are 9th in the nation in yards per carry for the rushing attack, and that's, again, against an SEC schedule. They faced the likes of the teams that you see in the SEC Eastern Division, plus Mississippi State, plus Auburn, plus Georgia Tech, plus Oregon. If they need a kick late, Georgia turns to 3-year kicker Jack Podlesny. He's hit on 84% of his kicks, including 5 of 6 during postseason play in 2021. These are the 2 teams that many forecasted preseason to be the very best in college football. Georgia with the outstanding defense coming back from last season, of course, despite losing all the NFL entries. These are the 2 teams that many predicted to be forecasted as the 2 best in college football in 2022. They've taken different routes. Georgia wins the SEC championship after winning the Natty last year, but losing the SEC title game. And, of course, Ohio State loses to Michigan for a 2nd straight year. But they get let off the hook by USC's loss and get an entry and a second chance in the college football playoff as a 7-point underdog against Georgia in Atlanta. What a mountain to climb for the Buckeyes. But at least there's hope and at least there's a chance. Should be an entertaining one. Georgia, the defending champs, an NFL-loaded team, when you put these two on the field together, wow, they can flood an NFL draft, and it should be exciting and entertaining and interesting. The Buckeyes are going to have to be on their game, and they're going to have to defensively bring it start to finish, unlike against the Michigan Wolverines in Columbus. Your thoughts below as we continue to preview this matchup throughout the next month right here at the Voice of College Football. Go Bucks!